While the tour of Japan was wonderful, it is great to be back swinging through the northeast region of the USA, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania this evening for RWL Rage. Good evening, everybody. Glad you're aboard. My name is Don Hickson, and I'm joined by Christy Ogilvie and Myron Schimmelman. And, well, it is sure great to all be back together again, isn't it?
You don't know the half of it, Don. I miss our little get-togethers when we don't have them. But tonight, stick around, everybody. Tonight's a great card, a terrific lineup, a lot of big-name stars. You're definitely not going to want to miss it.
A lot of big-name stars. Kurt Angle, Tito Santana, Greg Valentine's in the house again, Eddie Guerrero and China are back again, and that's just in the first half tonight. And new boys. Our card opener tonight. Mucho Caliente, with two short Popeyes, kind of almost a giant, Lars Sullivan, one-on-one, with Best of the West's Lone Star superstar Tex McKenzie. Oh, man, did I miss being here for this. We're starting with Too Short Myron. Your hero. Your number one Joe.
Ah, shut up, Christy.
Welcome to RWL Rage. Our first match tonight is scheduled for one fall with a 10-minute time limit. Introducing first, accompanied by Too Short Popeye Scott Bell, representing Scott Bell Unlimited from the Colorado Rockies, weighing 287 pounds. Here's Lars Sullivan.
Big bad Mr. Sullivan here. Should have brought in a good return on anyone's investment, but for Too Short he's been nothing short of a nightmare for Scott's stable. He's been unable to make any real impact, doesn't win anywhere near a desirable work rate, and he's still struggling to overcome personal problems. And word is, Scott's getting tired of Sullivan, constantly and consistently screwing up. And yet, Too Short hangs on to Sullivan like a life jacket. What's the deal with that? Does anyone know?
He's had to scale back. He used to have A-listers like Warlord Santos for a giant. Now he's got a D-lister like Lars Sullivan. Garbage.
I think Scott is starting to realize that for him, and Bell Unlimited, Lars Sullivan is just dead weight that Scott needs to unload. There are other big men without all the problems attached to Sullivan. Even a bottom feeder like Too Short could find someone, anyone, that could perform better. I think Lars had better deliver the goods in this match with Tex McKenzie, because Scott's probably desperate for any excuse to hang on to the guy.
And his opponent representing Best of the West, accompanied by Billy White Moon from Corpus Christi, Texas, weighing 275 pounds, the Lone Star superstar, Tex McKenzie.
Man, I forget sometimes, but Tex McKenzie is a tall drink of water at 6 feet 9 inches. When a dude is that size, he's not going to be intimidated by Lars Sullivan. This guy's going to stand and fight. The Lone Star superstar uses his size and power very wisely, and he loves to drive those knees into an opponent's guts like extra hard. Like I said, Lars Sullivan better find a way around McKenzie here, or Uncle Too Short is going to be mad.
So when is Uncle Too Short not mad?
A fine point, Myron. Scott Bell not exactly known for his sunny disposition. Well, all right, Lars Sullivan and Tex McKenzie are all set. Tom Canamora rings the bell. Lars Sullivan opens up with a right and a spear that takes McKenzie down by the knee. Swing and a miss with the kick. Tex McKenzie goes behind. Inverted Russian leg sweep. Face first into the canvas for Lars Sullivan. Followed up with a kick with those cowboy boots of Tex McKenzie. McKenzie whips Lars Sullivan to the ropes. There's a collision. Lifted up but taken right back down. Quick counter. Tex McKenzie takes down Lars Sullivan again. Lars Sullivan getting the bad end of the business here, courtesy of Tex McKenzie. A clutch, but Lars Sullivan fights his way out. Tex McKenzie back on his feet. Lars Sullivan stepping outside the ring, clearly frustrated. McKenzie gets him back inside. Lars Sullivan counters. Sullivan tries lifting McKenzie. Good luck with that. A clothesline that takes Lars Sullivan down. Next, McKenzie covers, but not even a one. Nowhere near a near fall. Lars Sullivan back on his feet. Tex McKenzie delivering a couple of kicks with those big legs. And now Too Short Popeye getting directly involved, and Tex McKenzie falls into the trap. The trap squeeze, that is, as Lars Sullivan blocks the blood flow to the brain of Tex McKenzie. McKenzie rolled over by Lars Sullivan, rounded back up to his feet. And look at this one-arm slam from Lars Sullivan. Here's a cover, 1, 2, but only a near fall. Tex McKenzie getting the left shoulder up just in time. Sullivan rounds him up. McKenzie counters. Tex McKenzie delivers a chop. Misses with the clothesline, catches a kick to the midsection, but flapjack against the ropes for Lars Sullivan. Tex McKenzie again going for another cover here. One, but just a one. Lars Sullivan still far too active. Sullivan goes behind. McKenzie counters and goes behind. Lars Sullivan with a kick to the midsection. Sullivan has him a powerbomb on Tex McKenzie. McKenzie being tortured here by Lars Sullivan, stretching the face of Tex McKenzie as Lars Sullivan begins to display some sadistic skills here. Jawbreaker that breaks the hold. Tex McKenzie opens up. Good Sullivan in the far corner. Here's a clothesline, and down he goes. Lars Sullivan quickly taken down by Tex McKenzie, and right back into that clutch again. The possible submission. Lars Sullivan struggling to make the ropes. He's going to have to find another way, and he certainly does. Takes down Tex McKenzie in the process. Look at this, by the throat. Tex McKenzie gouges the eyes. Turns him around. Whoa! What a neck breaker right there from Tex McKenzie, the Lone Star Superstar, with Lars Sullivan laid out center ring. Flip over neck whip from Tex McKenzie. Tex nails Sullivan with a fist drop, delivering a kick to the back. Sullivan takes him down, gathers himself back up. Another kick to the midsection. Scott Bell introduces a chair into the ring as Lars Sullivan takes a back body drop from Tex McKenzie. McKenzie opens up with a series of rights, and look at this. A little bit of magic right there. And down goes Lars Sullivan. Again, Too Short Popeye. Scott Bell protesting to the referee. Tex McKenzie inviting Lars Sullivan to stand up so he can knock him back down again. He does. And Lars Sullivan quickly counters. Quick counter from Tex McKenzie as well. McKenzie whips him into the corner. Turns him around. The Lone Star Superstar has him up on the top turnbuckle. And it's going to be a long, unpleasant ride for Lars Sullivan. As Tex McKenzie sets up the top rope superplex, and there it is. And Lars Sullivan got all of it. Tex McKenzie stalking Lars Sullivan. Rounds him back up to his feet. McKenzie counters with a kick. Follows it up with a left. And now a series of kicks to the chest. Lars Sullivan, wait a minute now. Lars Sullivan, no, wait, disqualification right there.
Sullivan's got to be out of his mind.
5 minutes, 30 seconds. Referee Thomas Kanamura has disqualified Lars Sullivan. Your winner by disqualification, Tex McKenzie.
It was as if Lars Sullivan was unable to help himself. Tex McKenzie awarded this match by disqualification through the actions of Lars Sullivan, who could have won this match fair and square, could have won it cleanly. But Lars Sullivan reverting to type, reaching under the ring for a baseball bat and taking a swing at Tex McKenzie. Automatic disqualification, Tex McKenzie winning the match by DQ.
Lars Sullivan just snapped. After the superplex, got tired of fooling around, and went Louisville Slugger on Tex McKenzie. Look at this. Too Short isn't mad Sullivan cheated, just mad he got caught by the ref.
Whoa, Too Short is hot.
I took care of business as simple as any. I did what I had to do. stupid. So fucking stupid.
Whoa. One of these four ladies is going to be the next woman to face Dynamite Jeannie Parker for the Women's World Championship. Will it be Faye Crawford, Dione the Titaness, Brandy Knox, or Cherie Roy? That's what this next match is going to find out. Wrist clutch, baby step stomps from Dione the Titaness on Brandy Knox. Here's a cover. 1, 2, oh! Faye Crawford breaking up the pin. Goes after Dione, whips her to the ropes. Misses the grapple. Locks up with Cherie Roy. Cherie Roy. Chicken wing suplex. Takes a swing at Brandy Knox. Standing drop kick. Cherie Roy goes after Dione. Whips her to the ropes. Dione puts on the brakes. Suplex. To the Fairfield Fox from Cherie Roy. Brandy Knox on the outside, just coming to her senses. I'm not sure what Faye Crawford's trying to do here, but Dione's not going to let it happen. Dione the Titaness. Double ear clap, gets herself free. Cherie Roy takes down Brandy Knox. Goes to recover, hooks the leg. 1, 2, and 3. That is it. Cherie Roy winning this match. What about pinfall?
The time, 4 minutes and 44 seconds. Your winner by pinfall and #1 contender for the Women's World Championship, Cherie Roy.
All right, well, next week on Snarl gonna be the Queen, Dynamite Jeannie Parker, and the Queen of the Black Garden, Cherie Roy, for the Women's World Championship. Well,
Coming up next on Rage, Ladies Division action with former Belt Council member Vivacious Virginia Austin, one-on-one with the #1 contender for the Women's World Championship, the Queen of the Black Garden, Cherie Roy.
what a win she had in that four-way at Snarl.
This next ladies match is scheduled for one fall with a 15-minute time limit. Approaching the ring from Brisbane, Australia, Vivacious Virginia Austin.
She's the third member of the Belt Council that we haven't seen go solo yet. Vivacious Virginia Austin. Wow, does she paint that outfit on?
Virginia Austin building herself quite a reputation during her run with the Belt Council, notorious for that vicious leg drop from the top rope and the lover's kiss goodnight, her finisher that usually does lay an opponent out for the 1, 2, 3.
I think Virginia is going to catch an indie-style beatdown no matter who wins. And this may be Cherie's only chance at a tune-up match before she meets Jeannie Dynamite for the Women's World title at the Snarl on Saturday.
And her opponent from the Twin Cities, the Queen of the Black Garden, Cherie Roy.
Boy, that was a quick advancement up the ladder for Cherie Roy, huh? All of a sudden, out of the blue, she pins Brandy Knox in that four-way, and now she's facing Jeannie Parker next week.
And while I think Cherie Roy would make a standout Women's World Champion, she would have to get past Dynamite Jeannie Parker, and there's been nobody who's been able to do that for the last 6 years running.
And that begs the question, Don. Could Cherie Roy be the one?
Well, it's great that Autumn Breeze is standing by her tag team partner for moral support while Cherie works her way through all this complicated business.
Naturally, Autumn Breeze and Cherie Roy, more than just tag team partners, they are good friends as well.
Well, anyway, we do get a nice preview of what Cherie Roy might do against Jeannie Parker when she faces her at Snarl for the Women's World title.
Nothing but love for Cherie Roy, you guys. But Jeannie Dynamite is not going to lose the Women's World title to Cherie Roy. Not in this universe, she doesn't.
Alright, Cherie Roy looking at this as something of a tune-up match. Referee Walt Rothburn rings the bell. Cherie charges, fails to connect with the jumping neckbreaker, catches an elbow to the head from Virginia Austin. Virginia Austin shoved away by Cherie Roy, quickly back. Oh, tagged her with a hard right. Right on the top of the head. Cherie Roy. Look at this, whoa. Nasty variant on the backbreaker. Another clubbing right to the back of the head of Virginia Austin. And down she goes. The former Belt Council member having some problems with Cherie Roy in the early goings here. Cherie Roy all the way topside and boom, leg drop right across the throat of Virginia Austin. the number one contender for the Women's World Champion, facing Dynamite Jeannie Parker April 12th, and she's sure showing off here. Cherie Roy, countered by Virginia Austin, finally beginning to mount some offense. Cherie Roy putting the brakes on here. Drop toe hold and into a leg drop. Oh, into a leg lock. Virginia Austin battling her way out. Cherie Roy quickly back on her feet here. Kick to the midsection. A chop across the chest, a couple of kicks, and a Hurricane Rana from the Queen of the Black Garden, going for an immediate pin here. One, and just barely a one. Cherie Roy gonna have to work a little bit harder to take down Virginia Austin all the way topside again. Fails to connect with the leg drop that time. Virginia Austin about to capitalize here into an abdominal stretch on Cherie Roy. Cherie Roy tags her with a couple of shots. Look at this. Crucifix, head scissors. That's one way of getting out of the hold. Virginia Austin, disrespectful slap right across the face of Cherie Roy. And Cherie Roy is not going to appreciate that in the slightest. Oh, gouging the face. Oh, Virginia Austin, never a respecter of the rules. Cherie Roy whipped into the far corner. There's a splash from Virginia Austin. And again, gouging the face of Cherie Roy. Goes behind, tags her a hard right forearm, whipped to the ropes, and a shoulder tackle. And down goes Cherie Roy. Autumn Breeze looking a little concerned for her tag team partner. There's a crossbody splash from the top rope from Virginia Austin on elbow to the face. Cherie Roy ducks it, locks it up, whips Virginia Austin in the far corner, fails to connect with the splash. Jumping neckbreaker from Virginia Austin. Virginia catches a shot from Cherie Roy. Takes her down again. Cherie Roy follows it up with a stomp to the head and a knee to the skull. Wow. Cherie Roy absolutely shining here. Virginia Austin on the apron. Cherie charges shoulder. Down goes Virginia Austin to the outside. Referee Walt Rothburn initiating the count here. Austin rolled back inside the ring. Cherie Roy taking the long way home here. Virginia Austin decides she's going to come out to join her. Cherie Roy right there. Opens up with a series of rights. Virginia Austin counters. Has her up into a backbreaker. Cherie Roy looking for trouble on the outside and certainly finding it. Virginia Austin disrespectfully with a boot to the throat of the Queen of the Black Garden. Cherie Roy back on her feet. A series of disrespectful slaps right to the head and a shoulder that takes Cherie Roy down. The referee's count continues. Again, another gouge of the face from Virginia Austin. Quickly making her way back inside the ring, followed by Cherie Roy. Kick to the midsection, quickly countered by Cherie Roy. Virginia Austin counters. Kick to the midsection from Cherie Roy again. Virginia Austin whipped to the ropes. Whoa, did you see that one? She just let gravity do the work. Cherie Roy. Standing dropkick takes Virginia Austin down to the canvas. Cherie Roy rounds her up again. Here's a forearm uppercut. Cherie Roy all the way up on the top rope again. Fails to connect with the leg drop this time again. Virginia Austin with a kick takes down Cherie Roy. Rounds her up again. Kick to the midsection, and oh, here it is. The lovers kiss goodnight. And that is definitely going to be bad news here. She covers. 1, 2, 3, and that is a wrap right there.
Here's the time, 5 minutes and 15 seconds. And your winner, Vivacious Virginia Austin.
That's a damn shame, y'all. Cherie was just killing me. She had Virginia right where she wanted her. But all it took was that one lucky shot to lay in the lover's kiss goodnight. And just like that, Cherie Roy got robbed out of this one. That's Virginia Austin, though. You know how she loves to destroy other people's dreams.
And so Virginia Austin picks up a win over Cherie Roy here. And we'll be back with more RWL Rage right after the break. Stay with us. Once again, it's another East versus West scenario. Only this time the roles will be played by our Ladies Division stars, Dos Vidania of the Red Star Confederation, and the Yankee Rose, Miss Georgia Washington.
And here's the kicker. It's in Georgia Washington's hometown of Pittsburgh. She might hear a yay, or even see a red, white, and blue foam finger in the cheap seats.
That's terrible.
This next ladies' match is scheduled for one fall with a 15-minute time limit. Approaching the ring, representing the Red Star Confederation from the former Soviet Union, here is the KGB, Das Vitania.
Only in her case, the acronym has nothing to do with secret police. For her, KGB means Killer Good Body, and well, I suppose she does have one.
Dos Vidania, one of the two ladies of the Red Star Confederation, the other being Colonel Nanotchka, who we haven't seen in a very long time.
Yeah, I kind of miss her. Her and Dos Vidania used to do tag teams together. They were pretty good.
Okay. While you two gentlemen debate Das Vitania and her virtues, there's a big difference between our two opponents in this match. Das Vitania has been conditioned to be the way she is now, the little Spitfire. Georgia Washington was evil from birth.
And her opponent from right here, in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, she is the Yankee Rose, Miss Georgia Washington.
You gotta admit, the crowd's giving out a different kind of vibe tonight to Georgia Washington.
She looks wild. Are you ready for the new sensation? Here's a shot of her around the way.
The Yankee Rose, Miss Georgia Washington, with a rare treat, receiving a warm welcome from a Pittsburgh crowd. How about this? Normally she's second to Chlamydia in popularity.
Yeah, but it's different tonight. She's got Dos Vidania for an opponent. And everybody hates Dos Vidania more than they hate Georgia Washington, so there you go.
It's a shame how popular and successful she could be, if it wasn't for that craptacular attitude of hers. She could be right up there with Pam Parsons, Brooklyn Von Braun, and Liberty Belle Danielle, if she would just get her mind right, which I don't see Miss Girl doing, cause she's a hot-ass mess.
A determined look on the face of Dos Vidania. As she gets ready to clash with the Yankee Rose, Willie Johnson rings the bell. She charges, fails to connect. Georgia Washington also fails to connect. Dos Vidania whips Georgia into the far corner. She rebounds out. They lock up. They tussle. Georgia shoves her away. Arm drag from Dos Vidania. Dos Vidania whipped to the opposite far corner. Counters with a kick. And a spear takes down Georgia Washington. Dos Vidania swings and misses with the kick. Georgia Washington nails her with a clothesline, and down she goes. Dos Vidania caught in a head scissors, but counters and escapes. Dos Vidania moves in on Georgia Washington. Georgia counter slaps the hand away. Wow. Whipped back into the far corner again. Georgia drives a shoulder into the midsection. Dos Vidania counters with a wicked kick and takes her down. Georgia Washington rolls out, rolls back in. A little game of musical chairs here between the ropes. Georgia Washington spins her around, has her up into a backbreaker, and now stretching and cracking the spine of Dos Vidania. Georgia Washington drinking in a rare treat, some love from the fans. Dos Vidania counters, makes her way back inside the ring. Dos Vidania countered by Georgia Washington. Dos Vidania counters Georgia Washington. Fireman's carry from the Yankee Rose. He rounds up Dos Vidania. Has her up, beautiful suplex from the Yankee Rose. Georgia Washington rounds up Dos Vidania again. Has her up into that backbreaker one more time. Stretching and snapping the spinal column of Dos Vidania. Georgia Washington styling and profiling in a familiar style. And here we go. Georgia putting the boost to the chest of Dos Vidania. Dos Vidania gathered up here. Georgia Washington into a slightly modified abdominal stretch here, bringing the leg into the equation. And that is an agonizing hold. Dos Vidania counters it with a hip toss, finds her way out, delivers a stomp or two to Georgia Washington. The Yankee Rose gathered to her feet. Dos Vidania puts her into a sleeper, but the rope's right there. Georgia Washington freed from the hold. A kick to the midsection. Georgia Washington tags her with the neckbreaker. Dos Vidania rolls her way onto the apron as the Yankee Rose enjoys a little more adulation from the fans. Georgia Washington moves in. Dos Vidania, they tussle. Dos Vidania shoves her back. Georgia whipped to the far corner. Georgia counters. Look at that beautiful wraparound DDT from the Yankee Rose. Followed up with a stomp. Great deal of momentum shift in this matchup between these two ladies. Georgia Washington, another neck breaker. The Yankee Rose currently in control of Dos Vidania. One, but just barely a one. Dos Vidania back up on her feet. Georgia Washington doesn't see her coming. Georgia Washington nails her. A spear from Dos Vidania. Look at this, Georgia Washington right back up on her feet as if nothing had happened. Here we go. Package driver from the Yankee Rose. Georgia Washington driving knees into the midsection of Dos Vidania. Dos Vidania rolls out for a minute. Georgia Washington follows her on out. And again, a little game of musical chairs. But Dos Vidania catching some hell here. Oh, head first into the ring post. A fireman's carry from Dos Vidania. Despite having had her head driven into the ring post by Georgia Washington. Georgia shoved towards the timekeeper's area. Dos Vidania looking for some fan support here. Good luck with that project. Georgia Washington rounded up. Dos Vidania counters. Dos Vidania delivers a chop. Now the ladies trading chops back and forth. A suplex from Georgia Washington on the outside as referee Willie Johnson continues to count. Dos Vidania tags Georgia with a right. Whips her towards the timekeeper himself. Look at this right here. A little too close to the action. Georgia Washington suplex by Dos Vidania. Dos Vidania gathers her back up. Hard whip towards the opposing corner. Dos Vidania makes her way back inside the ring. Georgia Washington still laid out on the outside. The count restarted again as Dos Vidania leaves the ring to pursue Georgia Washington. Georgia rolled back inside the ring. Dos Vidania right there waiting for her. Georgia counters with an elbow. Dos Vidania counters with an elbow. Facebuster from Dos Vidania. Dos Vidania gathers up Georgia again. Georgia countering with an arm drag. Georgia Washington tags her with a right, and down she goes. A little bit more styling and profiling from the Yankee Rose. A clothesline. A second. Georgia Washington rebounds off the ropes, and a third clothesline. Down goes Dos Vidania. And now Dos Vidania on the canvas, being gathered up yet again by the Yankee Rose. A quick counter from Dos Vidania. A slap across the face from Georgia Washington. Boom, there's another suplex for Dos Vidania. Georgia Washington drags her near center ring. Goes for the cover. 1, 2. Another near fall. With Dos Vidania back up on her feet, Georgia Washington unaware of her presence. Standing dropkick takes her down. Georgia Washington moves back in again, has Dos Vidania up over the shoulders. Dos Vidania counters it into an inverted DDT. What a battle between these two. Georgia Washington hauled up and slammed back down by her hair. Dos Vidania seems a bit frustrated when she should be pinning Georgia Washington. A colossal waste of time on the part of Dos Vidania. Georgia Washington back on her feet, a clothesline. Takes Dos Vidania right back out onto the floor again. Georgia Washington gathers her back up. And another suplex from Georgia Washington. Dos Vidania gathered up again on a spear from the Yankee Rose. Dos Vidania back up on her feet. Takes Georgia Washington down with a kick. The momentum shifts in this match have been absolutely insane. Dos Vidania rounds up Georgia Washington slowly. Georgia shoves her away towards the far corner. On the outside as referee Willie Johnson continues to count. Georgia Washington standing right there just stop. Whoa, look at this. Sets her up another suplex from Georgia. And a little more showboating for the fans in the front row. Dos Vidania gathered up again. Dos Vidania counters an elbow to the leg. Dos Vidania rolled back inside the ring by Georgia Washington, who is starting to show signs of fatigue for sure. Georgia with a, whoa, there it is. There's the chop, and there's the Rockets' red glare. The double RG. And that might be the end right there for Dos Vidania. Georgia Washington covers. 1, 2. Oh, my, well. Dos Vidania powering out of the pin after the Rockets' red glare. Oh, man, Georgia Washington delivers another chop. And there it is one more time. The double RG. Georgia Washington covers. 1, 2, 3. It took 2 of them, but Georgia Washington wins this match by pinfall.
Here's the time, 10 minutes and 12 seconds, and your winner, the Yankee Rose, Miss Georgia Washington.
The Yankee Rose partaking in a taste of what popularity might be like, as the fans here in Pittsburgh roundly supporting the Yankee Rose Georgia Washington in this pinfall victory over Dos Vidania of the Red Star Confederation.
I hope she likes that feeling. I hope she craves more of it. She really could be a way bigger star with tons more fan support if she weren't such a, YouTube won't let me use that word, but you get the idea.
Trust me, I understand what you're saying.
Fans, we'll be back with more RWL Rage right after this break. Hope to see you there. Boston Connor of the Toxic Table recently making waves by picking up a win over the Big Boss Man. Well, tonight, he and AJ Hawk of the Toxic Table joining forces as they face Killer and Psycho, the Texas Hangman 2.0 with MJ Ferrantino.
Hey, great. I've been looking forward to seeing these guys in action tonight.
This next tag team match is scheduled for one fall with a 20-minute time limit. Introducing first representing the Toxic Table at an unknown combined weight, the team of Boston Connor and AJ Hawk.
All right, a quick recap is in order here. AJ Hawk at RWL Southwest got the brakes beaten off him by Wanton J. Vandal of the Vandal Brothers. And as for Boston Connor, well, he's still riding the crest of a wave of an upset win over the Big Boss Man. And he thinks he is a huge deal now.
Yeah, well, they're about to FA and FO. Killer and Psycho, under the management of MJ Ferrantino, they've got their marching orders directly from Hangman Tex Lynch, and he said make these guys look like fools.
They're not wrestlers. It's plain for anyone with eyes. They know a couple of fancy-ass moves they saw on TV, or worse still, made up by themselves. They're totally untrained. And I wish these clown shoes would stick to talking sports with Pat McAfee.
Robble, robble, robble.
But we will get to see Killer and Psycho leave some size 14 boot prints in these pretender spot monkeys.
The gym rat and the Hamburglar.
Their opponents accompanied by MJ Ferrantino at a combined weight of 545 pounds. Here are Killer and Psycho, the Texas Hangman.
Killer and Psycho, the Texas Hangman, live again through the magic of Hangman Tex Lynch, who recruited these two big boys to wear the masks and the ring gear of the original Killer and Psycho, the Texas Hangman, bringing back one of his favorite tag teams from when he was growing up.
He found them working in an indie federation in Texas, And he said, well, look, they're just the right size. They've got the right kind of skills for a tag team. And, well, Tex loved the Texas Hangman in AWA back in the 80s. So, well, he brought them back. He's literally like Dr. Frankenstein.
And he has built not one monster, but two, and left them in the capable hands of what you might call his Igor, M.J. Ferrantino, the boy whiz manager. And wow, I'm liking the new ring gear. Definitely conveys a degree of menace.
I really love that Tex has done this.
It's going to be Boston Connor and Texas Hangman Psycho leading the dance in this one. Referee Willie Johnson rings the bell. The man comes center ring. Psycho locks up with Boston Connor. Has him way in the middle of the air. Slams him down face first into the canvas. There's a butt bump right there. Driving the air right out of the ribs. Off the second rope. Beautiful moonsault for a man that size. Texas Hangman Psycho rounds up Boston Connor. Connor whip to the Texas Hangman's corner. Psycho off the middle rope. A beautiful flying kick. Takes down Boston Connor. Boston Connor gathered up again. Psycho whips him again to the Texas Hangman's corner. Here comes Killer on the tag. And here comes a double team from the Texas Hangman. Whoa! Beautifully executed. And now Killer taking over for his team, Boston Connor, unable to get to his feet in time. And now Killer going to work on Boston Connor. Boston Connor taking quite a beating here at the hands of Killer and Psycho, the Texas Hangman. Whip to the Texas Hangman's corner again. A kick to the ribs from Killer. Killer whips him to the ropes, rebounds off himself, and a spinning forearm. Down he goes. Here's a cover. 1, 2. A near fall pretty early on for the Texas Hangman. Here comes A.J. Hawk on the tag. Locks it up with Killer. Killer's got him up over the shoulder, hangs him up over the top rope. The Texas Hangman. Whoa, here we go. Into a blatant choke. Killer absolutely not fooling around here. Turns his attention to Boston Connor. And it is beats of the Bodran time. 10 punches across the chest for Boston Connor. And he hasn't got much of one to begin with. And down he goes. Killer turning his attention back to A.J. Hawk. Whips him to the Texas Hangman's corner. And here we go, Killer. Off the middle rope and another flying kick. These two working like a synchronized unit. Here comes Psycho on the tag. A.J. Hawk has no idea where he is at the moment. Psycho whips him back into the Texas Hangman's corner. Another kick to the ribs. Here we go again off the middle rope. Another flying kick right to the side of the head of A.J. Hawk. He'll cover 1, but just the 1. Psycho deciding whether or not he's going to take himself out of the equation. No, he's not. Here we go. A boot to the face of A.J. Hawk, and out he went. And here comes Killer on the tag. M.J. Ferrantino, the guardian, caretaker, if you will, of the Texas Hangman for Hangman Tex Lynch, and Enziguri takes down Boston Connor on the outside. A running kick to the face for A.J. Hawk on the inside. And now Texas Hangman Killer driving both knees into the canvas on A.J. Hawk. A.J. Hawk rounded up again. Here's another forearm from Killer. The Texas Hangman firmly in control of the toxic table at the present time. Killer rounds up A.J. Hawk, who seems to be helpless. Whipped into the Texas Hangman's corner again. Sat up on the top turnbuckle and whoa, just knocked right down. Killer said to hell with the superplex, just fall. And right back to Boston Connor and another set of 10 punches across the chest. As Psycho rolls A.J. Hawk back inside the ring. And there goes Boston Connor. The Texas Hangman standing tall here against the toxic table. And look at this. Wrist clutch stomps to the back over and over and over again. Here we go. All the way up from the top. And boom, double boot stomp. About 275 pounds of weight coming crashing down. AJ Hawk whipped to the Texas Hangman's corner. Here comes Psycho. Whip to the ropes. And another beautifully executed tandem move and another quick cover with a hook of the leg. 1, 2, no, another near fall. AJ Hawk somehow finding his way out. Here comes Boston Connor on the tag. He gets locked up and look at this, a quick counter into a DDT. The Psycho. Boston Connor moves back in, whips him into the corner. A running fist that takes Psycho down. And now, Boston Connor putting the boots and the knee to the throat of Texas Hangman Psycho. Boston Connor deciding to make his way to the top turnbuckle here. Psycho slowly getting back up to his feet, and here we go. Whoa, big time miss for Boston Connor. And Psycho going to take full advantage of the mistake. Rounds up Boston Connor. Whips him to the Texas Hangman's corner. And now begins driving knees into the midsection of Boston Connor, and down he goes. The Texas Hangman have been firmly in the driver's seat from the word go here against the toxic table. Both knees right into the chest of Boston Connor. Psycho steps up. No, he's not. He's going to go to the top turnbuckle. I thought he was going for a tag. Here we go. Another double boot stomp right across the midsection of Boston Connor. He's got to have virtually no air left in his lungs. Boston Connor whipped to the Texas Hangman's corner. Another kick to the ribs. And another. And another. And another. Whoa, look at this. Psycho putting the boots. Boston Connor counters. Goes after Killer as well. Goes out onto the apron. And drops him on his back right on the lip of the apron. MJ Ferrantino caught in a cluster here. Boston Connor slams Psycho's head into the apron. And now the Texas Hangman finding themselves at a sudden disadvantage at the hands of the toxic table. Boston Connor locking in the heel hook stretch on Psycho. This has been a wild one. There's a stomp to the lower abdomen. Boston Connor walking it off. Returns, delivers a kick to the chest of Psycho. Drops the leg right across the throat. Boston Connor rolls himself back inside. And he has found some of that big-time energy he had against the big boss man at RWL Southwest. Psycho back inside the ring. Locks it up with Boston Connor. Whips him to the ropes. Has him up. Whoa, knee to the midsection and a wicked spin kick. It takes Boston Connor down off the ropes. Beautiful moonsault. Psycho drops the leg, but Boston Connor was not there. Boston Connor rounds him up, nails him with a forearm. Down goes Psycho, and here comes AJ Hawk again. Psycho. Whoa! My, did you see that? Psycho went flying. AJ Hawk using pure physics there. Fails to connect with the double axe handle. Gets locked up, whipped into the Texas Hangman's corner. And whoa, here we go. Going Joe Louis on AJ Hawk. AJ Hawk back up on his feet again all of a sudden. Whips Psycho to the ropes. There's a clothesline, and down he goes. AJ Hawk rounds up Psycho. Another short arm clothesline. AJ Hawk steps over, delivers a second, steps over a third time, and here we go. Boom! There's another clothesline. As AJ Hawk steps out, here comes Boston Connor again. Psycho back up on his feet. Whoa, what a running kick right there. Just about took his head off. Here's a cover. 1, 2, 3. That is it. The Texas Hangman beating the toxic table by pinfall.
The time was 8 minutes and 38 seconds. And your winners, the Texas Hangman.
Okay, so who didn't enjoy seeing those little toxic table upstarts get ragdolled and dilly-dogged by the Texas Hangman? The momentum was Killer and Psycho from the opening bell to the closing bell, and they gave no breaks to Boston Connor and AJ Hawk. To me, it was a thing of beauty and a joy for 8.5 minutes.
Billy Dog. I like Billy Dog. That's cute.
And so it is. MJ Ferrantino, Hangman, Tex Lynch, and Killer and Psycho, all with cause to celebrate this evening as the Texas Hangmen rack up a win over the Toxic Table. And we'll be back with more RWL Rage right after this. Fans, we're closing out the first half of Legends Division competition, which is going to feature the Olympic hero Kurt Angle, set to go one-on-one against Tito Santana.
Our next Legends Division match is scheduled for one fall, with a 15-minute time limit. Approaching the ring accompanied by Miss Georgia Washington, from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, weighing 224 pounds, here is Kurt Angle.
All right, the Olympic hero Kurt Angle, accompanied by Miss Georgia Washington, who enjoyed a victory earlier this evening over Dos Vidania, and who is no doubt hoping that Kurt Angle will enjoy a similar victory over Tito Santana.
That could happen. I mean, Kurt Angle, I've heard it said, they said on Southwest, he's one of the best technical wrestlers alive. And it's no bull. It's true. And it's damn true. Yeah, I got that one in.
Well, having been said, of course, Myron, Tito Santana, also a wrestler of championship caliber. He was former Mid-South champion until Billy White Moon of Best of the West came along. And of course, Kurt Angle was an absolute cabinet full of championships to his credit.
And his opponent, from Tocula, Mexico, weighing 231 pounds, Tito Santana.
The fans always welcoming to Tito Santana. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, Tito Santana, the former Mid-South champion, prior to Billy White Moon of Best of the West. But he is not letting that bother him. He has continued onward. And tonight, going one-on-one against the Olympic hero Kurt Angle, in a match that could be a mover and a shaker and a game changer as far as Tito Santana's fortunes are concerned. It has certainly been a grand night for legendary superstars here on Rage, and here we go with Kurt Angle and Tito Santana. Referee Tom Kennemore sounds the bell. Kurt Angle opens up with a kick, locks up. Santana goes behind, rear waistlock. Santana trying to work his way loose. Kurt Angle takes him down before he can and into a headlock. Kurt Angle countered by Tito Santana into a head scissor. Tito Santana quickly back on his feet, catches a kick from Kurt Angle. Angle whips him over the top rope out onto the floor. And Tito Santana finding himself on the outside early. Kurt Angle moves in. Tito Santana counters. Santana countered by Kurt Angle. And Kurt Angle gets wound up, taken down by Tito Santana. Santana rolls Kurt Angle back inside the ring. Makes his way in himself. Kurt Angle quickly with the counter. Tito Santana equally quick. Kurt Angle countering back. And there's a clothesline from the Olympic hero Kurt Angle. Tito Santana certainly felt the impact behind that one. The Yankee rolls Georgia Washington, enjoying the show after a pretty good performance against Dos Vidania. Tito Santana takes Kurt Angle to the outside, over the top rope and out onto the floor. Kurt Angle counters with a kick. Santana counters with a forearm, misses with the kick. Kurt Angle quickly counters. Look at this, into a takedown from behind. Kurt Angle Back inside the ring as the referee continues to count on Tito Santana. Santana makes his way back inside the ring. Kurt Angle whips him to the corner. Oh, right into the midsection. Ow. Oh! Beautiful suplex from Kurt Angle. Swing and a miss from Angle. Counters, goes around on Santana. Tags him with a right. Kurt Angle has him up. Hangs him up off the top rope. Down goes Tito Santana. Kurt Angle follows up with a stomp. Kurt Angle firmly in control of Tito Santana at the present time, much to the delight of Georgia Washington. Tito Santana counters, fires back take. There's a flying elbow, and down went Kurt Angle. Tito Santana going for the cover while Georgia Washington distracts referee Tom Kanamura. And Kurt Angle is down. Tito Santana having to start all over again into a clutch on Kurt Angle, but Kurt Angle counters the move, takes Santana down in the process. Up we go, over the shoulder, slammed right back down again. Kurt Angle with some old style classic wrestling moves here. Rear chin lock while driving the knee into the back of Tito Santana. Santana finds his way out quickly. Kurt Angle countered by Tito Santana. Up over the shoulders, and there's a sit-out scoop slam from Tito Santana. Rallying the fans for a little support here. Kurt Angle gathered up. Here we go, arm drag. Down goes Tito Santana. Kurt Angle indicating this one's over. And we'll just soon see about that. Kurt Angle goes to the outside, was sent right back inside by Tito Santana. Fireman's carry from Kurt Angle. Tito Santana counters with a kick. There's a clothesline. Down goes Kurt Angle. Tito Santana snatching away control of this match from Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle counters with a dragon screw. And now Kurt Angle employing some ground and pound techniques. Delivering a stomp to the midsection as well. Tito Santana counters, takes Kurt Angle down to the canvas center ring. Santana delivers a stomp to the arm of Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle catching a flip over neck whip. Tito Santana now firmly in control. Kurt Angle snatching it away again. Shoves down Tito Santana. Tito Santana countering with a jawbreaker. And there's another running elbow. Tito Santana indicating, yes, it is over. But it's over for Kurt Angle. Drives a knee into the chest of Kurt Angle. Angle countering with an arm drag. The Olympic hero escorts Santana towards the ropes and yanks it. Hangman off the rope. Kurt Angle covers. One. And just a one count. Tito Santana finds his way out, evades the kick. Fails to connect. Kurt Angle fails to connect. Tito Santana counters, takes him down to the mat. And into a single leg grab submission. Kurt Angle trying to make his way to the ropes, decides to escape instead and succeeds in doing it. Kurt Angle. Oh, there's that flying elbow again. There's a tip up from Tito Santana. And again, Georgia Washington distracting the referee while Tito Santana struggles to make a pin. Kurt Angle with a jawbreaker. And there's a flying elbow in retaliation to Tito Santana. Kurt Angle looks like he's getting ready to wrap this up. There's another jawbreaker from Tito Santana. There's another elbow. Kurt Angle gathered up by Tito Santana. Whipped into the ropes. There's another elbow. And Georgia Washington once more becoming involved in this matchup. And she should be ejected from ringside. Tito Santana looking a bit fatigued here. Talking trash to Kurt Angle. Whoa, out of nowhere, there's a surprise. An elbow takes Santana down. He makes his way up to the apron. Kurt Angle moves in. Santana counters with a right. Moves back inside the ring. How's Kurt Angle up over the shoulders with Kurt Angle. Counters with elbows to the head of Santana. Rounds Santana up. Winds up the arm. Russian leg sweep. Down goes Tito Santana. Kurt Angle gathers him up. Goes behind. Here's a German suplex. And there's another one. Kurt Angle going for the trifecta here. Nails the hat trick. Tito Santana. A triple suplex as Kurt Angle covers. 1, 2, 3. You can forget about it. Kurt Angle defeats Tito Santana by pinfall.
The time was 7 minutes and 19 seconds, and your winner, Kurt Angle.
Man, that was the real deal from Kurt Angle. Tito Santana gave it his best effort, but Kurt was just too on point tonight. You see how Kurt wore Santana down eventually. He didn't even have to use an ankle lock or an angle slam to put Santana away. He was just terrific tonight.
No kidding, Santana gave it his all, but it just was not enough. Kurt Angle was just too hot this evening.
Most certainly, the Olympic hero Kurt Angle putting away Tito Santana after a sustained battle of almost 7.5 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for the first half of tonight's RWL Rage. And we will return with the second half right after these words, and we sure hope to see you there.